lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́ là ń bẹ̀wẹ̀ kúkú dùkú lóko Podium International wọ́n ti wà tipẹ́tipẹ́ látìgbà tí wọ́n ti ń bàbọ̀ wọn ò fìgbà kan tẹ́rì o wọ́n ti wá ṣe bẹ̀bẹ̀ wọ́n ti gbé bẹ̀bẹ̀ dé Podium Cinema ni wọ́n tún gbé dé Podium Cinema lórí YouTube ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn kẹ́ ẹ subscribe ibẹ̀ lẹ́tì mọ̀ wọ àwọn àjẹ́ àbálẹ̀ fíìmù ẹ̀dọ̀kì fíìmù tó léfò gan tààrà Podium Cinema mo bẹ́rí fún yín fíìmù mẹ́sàn-án ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni wọ́n kó jáde o àwọn gbàǹkọ́gbé fíìmù èkíní májẹ̀mú ẹ̀gbọ́n èkejì my wet ẹ̀kẹta ọmọ ẹni ẹ̀kẹrin àlàmú èkó ẹ̀karùn-ún àìmọ̀ ṣẹ̀wárí pé nǹkan kì í ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ràgó ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ eléyìí lẹ́ti kẹjù èdè Yorùbá ni wọ́n fi ṣe àwọn fíìmù yìí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹfà sẹ́ẹ̀kẹsàn-án èdè òyìnbó ni wọ́n kọ́ ẹ̀kẹfà tẹ́mà èkeje the casting ẹ̀kẹjọ M1 the detective ẹ̀kẹsàn 100 M1 the detective at 100 orí síríìsì lẹ́fì máa wò ó ìyẹn dàgbéléwò nìyẹn Podium International Podium Cinema ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn lórí YouTube wọ́n wà lórí Facebook wọ́n wà lórí Instagram Podium Cinema ó ti dọbẹ̀ ẹ subscribe.
Good evening and welcome to today's program on Matters Arising. I'm your regular host, Kayode Emola, and I have with me in the studio our regular host too, Mr. Alex Oluwole Ajala, who will be helping me to dissect today's topic. Welcome to the studio, Baba Ajala. You want to say hello to our viewers?
For having me again today, and I wish we'll be able to say something of use to our listener.
Thank you very much. And we also have Dr. Seyi Adesanya today in the studio. Dr. Seyi, welcome to the studio.
Good evening, our viewers. Thank you for joining us once again today. We hope we all enjoyed the program today. Thank you.
Yeah, we're actually looking at an interesting topic today, content of courts. So Nigeria's double standard. We know that the first thing that governs a nation is law. And when those who profess to make that law, or those who have been vested with the authority to carry out that law, then breaks the law, then you ask what hope it is there for the nation. So very recently, we have the EFCC chairman that was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment for contempt of court. And just this week, we also have the Inspector General of Police also sentenced to 3 months imprisonment for contempt of court. We also have the Chief of Army Staff sentenced to 3 months imprisonment for contempt of court. Recently, we have Nnamdi Kanu, who is a prisoner of conscience, kidnapped by a government of a country, and they've said you have to release him, and they're saying no, and the Attorney General is saying no. I'm going to start with you, Baba Ajala. Is Nigeria a country or a mafia or a rogue nation? Let's start from there.
I think the last one. It's a rogue nation. It should not exist. And we all have been hearing about the Kaduna Mafia. It's deeper than that. Some of our people in the South have joined them in the quest of destroying anything that is called institutions of governance that could have made the country a workable one. The unfortunate thing is that I said could have. It can't. It can't. That's the fact. Right from the section of that country, that nothing worked. When the amalgam was declared, they celebrated with a 30,000 Doba in Kano. In the South, there were a few, that same day, in the South, there were a few civil servants that went to Tinubu Square. So I said that the administrations of the North and South have been put together. So right from the beginning.
So if I may pause you there, the amalgamation of Nigeria is just a celebration of North and not anything to do with Nigeria itself.
Not anything to do with the South, not Nigeria. Nigeria really doesn't exist. We are the ones who are making it appear to exist, because we took it over when even the owners warned us by stating clearly in 1953 that it's the presence of the British that is keeping that country, Nigeria, together. If they go away, there are many things. The transcript of that discussion is small. I could just quote part of it. The North wanted out of the whole mess because they don't want to have any association with us. In 1951, Balewa was requesting of the colonial officer working with them in the North that they should help the French people so that they can be using the river on the other side of the boundary of Nigeria to cut their goods to the sea. And some of us in school in those days, in the early 60s, we heard that the North was trying, it was not Nigeria, to try to build a road from Kano back to Libya. Most of us had it. And there was another alternative, a railway from Maiduguri. I think I've sent that document to you, Dr. K. From Maiduguri to Khartoum in Sudan, so that it will be connected to the. I hope you can hear me, please.
We can hear you. We're struggling with your audio, but we know your system is having some technical issues.
Yeah, even the picture is off now.
We can see you. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So they were trying to. The plan was from 1965, before the Civil War. They were going before the first coup, going to construct a railway down to Khartoum to be connected to Cairo, where they'll be shipping their heavy goods for overseas sales. We've never been one, but those of us in the South have been espousing on the greatness of Nigeria. To me, it eats my mind when I was growing up. So we are lying to ourselves. I really did not. I'm saying it clearly now for everybody in the world, in Africa, in Nigeria, to hear that. I never believed that Nigeria should continue to exist. We should have gone our separate ways so that we would develop peacefully in our own separate distinct territories. The Yoruba country, the Igbo country, the Sharia Islamic Republic of the North, or the Arawa Republic, they develop. Then we may have some accommodation of an association of maybe we could construct our roads to connect each other, and water roads, because the North always complains that they are a landlocked country. Landlocked country. I've heard it from professors from the North, my friends, who we always describe the North as a landlocked country. That is the North. It's not talking about Nigeria. They don't have anything to do with Nigeria. It's us politically that believe that we are one. How can we be one when there's this disparity, the non-commonality of vision? It is just, so if we are talking of the rule of law in Nigeria, it's all a lie. Maybe because of the elections coming, they want to say, oh, well, they are dealing with them. They are not dealing with anybody.
That's a good because I was going to go to Dr. Adesanya to say they are dealing with them. Now we have 3 people that are supposed to uphold law. The army is supposed to uphold the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The police is supposed to ensure that court matters are enforced, and the EFCC is supposed to ensure that any criminal case, any financial crime is dealt with. And the people at the helm of affairs seem not to get it. So what's the problem? I know Baba Jala has said it's we in the South making it feel like we have one Nigeria. There's nothing like one Nigeria. The Sokoto or the Kaduna Mafia, they are doing their own thing. The 12 states in the north have their own Sharia law. So how many laws do we really have in Nigeria? Do we have law for the rich, laws for the north, laws for the poor? How come the 3 officers are not behind bars now?
Thank you, Mr. Kayode. I think I'm going to start this way. That while we want to give it to the founding fathers, in the South, for
I might want to interrupt you. There are no founding fathers.
They didn't found Nigeria. Nigeria found them.
If we want to talk about a founding father, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is one mistake most of us in the South make. We don't have founding fathers. They did not create Nigeria. A founding father group creates a territory. They did not. So it is wrong all along from time immemorial. From all our leaders, all our professors calling some people founding father. We don't have one. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you on that.
I completely agree with you, Baba Jala. We've been used to that, and it's almost become a norm, However,
if you tell yourself a lie for so long, you begin to believe that.
Exactly. Well, yes. So I would just want to, I may just want to refer to them as the early leaders, in the South, or the
that's correct.
Yes. So while I want to give it to them,
we could just call them the political leaders.
The
new political leaders in the South.
Yes. So it is so sad that, and we have repeated this over and over again. It is so sad that they were myopic to see even though, history has been there. Apart from history, a statement credited to Ahmadu Bello a few days after the independence, saying that they were going to take over the South, Nigeria completely, should have been an eye-opener for them, for these so-called political leaders of those days. Like I said, they were being myopic. They could not see into the future, and that is to make us understand that no one knows it all, and no one has it all, or has the ability to, say I know everything. Now, for so long a time, I think we have, deceived ourselves. Can you imagine, like you said, 3 major law enforcement officers, having court judgments? I don't know where the army officer, army chief is from, but I want to believe is a northerner. So look at the 3 of them, all Fulani people from the north. Now, is it by coincidence that all of them in a row will have to, like we say, sentence?
And that brings me, because we've had Tafa Balogun, is from the South, who was sentenced to prison and then had to do prison time.
Yeah.
So maybe Baba Jala can come in to help our viewers or our Yoruba people understand this enclave they call Nigeria, because many people still think it's a country. Because a country, to me, a country that cannot even uphold the simple rule of law. I don't think it's a country. Maybe you can touch on the perception of our people, because our southern people perceive that Nigeria is a country. Is it time for us Yoruba to start looking at saying we want to start enacting our own laws, irrespective of what Nigeria is saying? Because the North are basically doing it and just using Nigeria as a pretext to get whatever they want.
Our Lord, I will tell you frankly where it should start from. It should start with a series of whereas, attacking the amalgam, and concluding with dissolution. That is the other time we can now start to enact our laws. These are parts of victory. There's no amount of leather twisting as Nigeria is contained now. Because look at the famous Awolowo's case of the 1962 until he got himself in prison. You find that the judge, after making his judgment, said his hands were tied. But when you look at the transcript of the case, there was a claim by the federal prosecutor that there was the Awolowo team with Joseph Saka and co. buried cutlasses in the four corners of Nigeria to take over a militarily protected country. Cutlasses. Yet most of us in the South were praised. We didn't question that particular statement. Rather, most of us, I knew, I was growing up and I was looking at it. Most leaders in the South were happy that Awolowo was being sentenced to court. And this is the fact. Except if anybody else can say anything otherwise. I knew this. I saw it. I was in the secondary school then. And then I said, how can a group use to fight an army that have tanks and guns? And acting was arguing the fact that it was true or not true. And a judge was sentencing somebody to imprisonment on something that was not proven. They call it treasonable felony. Contrived words out. Treason. What is felony? See, these are things that some of our so-legal luminaries in Nigeria see to other sideline. They don't look at all these parts. Coming forward, just I say it was just a face-saving activity. They are sentencing particular heads of institutions to 3 months. Is it 3 months?
3 months. Yeah, the three of them were given 3 months sentence.
It is 3 months. Have they weighed their offense to just be valued as only 3 months? Well, their offense is not more of a serious situation that is worth more than 3 months imprisonment?
It is because one of the people, the police officer, he actually, what happened was there's an officer who was just the background to the story. There was an officer who has been wrongfully dismissed, and the court is asked them to reinstate him back. And the office of the Inspector General of Police have refused to reinstate him back. And so the court have said, for contempt, you would stay in prison. And if you fail to reinstate him back after the 3 months, we will send you back to prison. But the problem is the Inspector General of Police is not in prison. The officer not being reinstated. So looking at that, to me, it shows that we're not living, Nigeria is not a country. And anybody who thinks otherwise can come out and challenge me where the people who make laws are not even following their laws. So I'm just going to go to Dr. Adesonya to help us understand, maybe in a layman's language and for our people. We see the Igbo people. They came out and say they are going to effect a sit at home every Monday. And they've enforced it some way or another. We say Nigeria is, we have to dissolve the country so that everybody can go. And we professing. Now, my take is the Yoruba needs to do something. We can't just fold our hands and wait until the day God comes to help us. My take is, since we have seen clearly that Nigeria is not a country that is built for the Yoruba people. We saw the northern lawyers at some point where they said they were pulling out from the Nigerian, NCJ, Justice, and they went to form their own. So should we now, we've had customary courts before, we've had traditional courts before, and there are still, those institutions are still there. Is it now time to call ourselves and say, we want to go into having our own either customary law or traditional laws or Yoruba law, whatever you call it? Isn't it time to start enacting those things into law and putting it into effect?
Well, maybe it's something that the Yorubas could try, but as far as I'm concerned, if up till today, an Amotekun would not be allowed to carry arms, even though they try to bamboozle their way to form it, but they can't carry arms, whereas some security, did they call them Isba or what? I mean,
Hisba police.
Yeah.
And even vigilantes can carry gun.
Yeah, can carry gun in the north.
Even people who are non-state actors can carry AK-47. If they can carry AK-47 to protect cows, how much more human beings?
So I think what baffles me is the fact that we Yorubas, we pride ourselves as being, highly educated, highly well civilized, and in the 21st century, we still have a situation where we still allow ourselves to be kicked around like a football by people that, well, I'm not going to say that, they are lesser in terms of intellect, but that's what we have always felt. So if it has come to the stage where somebody you feel is just like your megad, comes into your living room and begins to order you around. So what is the essence or what is the purpose of your intellect? What is the essence or purpose of your, civilization? So I think in the 21st century, we should be able to channel that level of civilization and intellect that we have as Yoruba people to say, no, this is the time for us to liberate ourselves. Because, like I have always said, there is no political solution to these issues. These are issues that have been well planned and well, carried out for over 60 years. There's something that was posted on one of the platforms that I belong to, and that is the nuclear power plant that was developed somewhere in the north. And incidentally, those who carry out the research, they are all Yoruba people. They were all Yoruba people. So, but that project is in the north. And so I am wondering how any southerner could come now and reverse all of the injustices. You want to talk of all notable facilities, all in the north. Is it the police academy? Is it the NDA? Is it the name it? They even took the naval what do you call it, to the north where we don't have water. And that's so pathetic. And then we have people who say they have internet.
Just hold your thoughts. We'll go for a short break, and we will come back and analyze it further.
Come one, come all to Podium Function Hall, a place for your network sessions, birthday parties, private parties, expos, conferences, seminars, and master classes. Podium Function Hall is the place to be. With a hall capacity of 50 plus, full air condition, starboard, and standby generator, with location in Ikota Villa, Mega Chicken Bus Stop. Contact us on 0701 844 8188 or +44 7442 177 677. Podium Function Hall, events made alive.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adesoya. I'm just going to come to Baba Jala. You talked about the nuclear power station that's built in the north. But I want us to look at it this way. We sold our identity to Nigeria. And rather than Yoruba, we started calling ourselves Western Nigeria. We started calling ourselves Western Nigeria. And yeah, so maybe Dr. Adesoya will help us with it. We started calling ourselves Western Nigeria. If we had maintained our identity as Yoruba then, we would have been able to maintain our cultural integrity, our territorial integrity, and majority of our product that we produce, we say Yoruba brand. Because we see that the Nigeria government used the trick of Western or Eastern or Northern to coerce things to become Nigeria. Remove the Western and it's Nigeria. Now, isn't it time for us to start looking and saying, let's bring back brand Yoruba rather than brand Nigeria, and let's start selling brand Yoruba to our indigenous people?
Well, let me start this way. It is not a sin for anybody to commit an error. Like I said from the beginning, our the early leaders, committed that error. They were looking at a larger picture, but then they should have, like I said, looked at history and also look at what's really statements around that period to be able to decide on charting a course for their people. Now, and I always tell people this, that if we Yorubas get our acts together, I tell you, we can feed the whole of probably West Africa. Maybe not the whole of Africa, West Africa. We can't feed the whole of West Africa. And so, like I've also said before, that we somewhere along the line, we degenerated to a point where those who should not get into the corridors of power got their hands on power, and they have messed up the whole system for us in the Southwest. Now, like I said also, it is not a crime, it is not out of place to make errors. But what do we do when we discover that we have made these errors? Should we not begin to say, yes, let us begin to make amends? And for me, the solution does not lie in not only me, but every reasonable thinking Yoruba man and woman. The solution is not in politics, in the Nigerian system, within the Nigerian context. No. The solution lies in us creating our own identity, like you rightly said. Let us create our identity, build a brand for ourselves, and then we can truly be great. Because the West saw it from the beginning. They saw it. But we are not taking that advantage. It's a sad one. It's a sad one.
Yeah, maybe Baba Jala can help us. How do you think we can build back brand Yoruba rather than affiliating ourselves with Western? You see a lot of people still hypnotized with Western Nigeria, even though Western Nigeria was killed 50 odd years ago. They still say Western Nigeria. But that concept died a long time ago. And that was because we affiliated ourselves with this so-called Nigeria. I live in Wales. If you ask a Welshman, he will tell you he's Welsh and he's not British. And that is his identity. If you ask a Scottish man, he tells you, I'm Scottish and I'm not British. And that is his identity. He doesn't want to be British. So can't we affirm now and inculcate it into the millions of our people that we are now Yoruba and we are not Nigerians?
The problem we all face in Africa, with particular reference to Nigeria, is the problem of identity. What I call territorial sovereignty and identity. If we try to build brand Yoruba, the federal, the hold on the country, so-called Nigeria, we exercise its sovereignty over us, and we will not be able to achieve our aim. It has happened to very many people who try to bring in branding and making things in Yoruba land. At some point, I observed critically in the 70s and even up to the 80s, there was every 6 months, there was a change on what you call import and export tariffs. And that affected certain businesses seriously. And that is why, if we want to have our own brand, it starts from 1914. No, I would say the night of 31st of December
1913.
1913. That is when the South was away, was not part of the North. So it is not actually the West that put themselves into a Nigeria as we know it. We foolishly allowed ourselves to be part of a country that has to stand for independence. Left to the British, they don't mind that each region be independent. They don't mind it if you look at the transcripts of discussions along the line. But it is us, even right from Herbert Macaulay, who was ringing the bell of nationalism, Nigerian nationalism, which most of the people listening did not understand. You see, a class of educated elites who are mostly in the South try to force into the mindset of the people aggregated into a country called Nigeria that there is a Nigerian nationalism. I refuse that even as a young person. I did not ever believe on the Nigerian nationalism. I believe that my nationality is Yoruba in Nigeria. So I didn't know I was talking about parts of history that have happened in other places. Look at the Austro-Hungarian Empire. There were several nationalities, ethnic nationals,
within
and
the empire.
within the empire, which broke up finally, and thereby you have the emergence of Czechoslovakia and the other countries, Bulgaria, Hungary, the small Austria, and Poland itself too, and all other little countries came up. They were not called tribes,
They were called nationals.
ethnic nationals. And that is why I've been hitting on the word that we should not regard ourselves as tribes. If it is like Adesina said, the lie and the falsehood has eaten deep into us, let us win it out of our mindset. We are not a tribe. We are an ethnic
The
nation
national.
that occupy West African coastal area, a part of which is in Nigeria. All Yorubas in Nigeria are not all the Yorubas in West Africa, because there are
course.
others. And where Biwa. So these are some of the things we have to start to propagate. First of all, to have proper rule of law and brand Yoruba sovereign nation is to dissolve the amalgam. And even these laws that we're talking about, if I want go back quickly, by understanding, the Nigerian Bar Association had broken up.
So we have the Northern Bar Association and the Yoruba Bar Association.
Unfortunately, our so-called erudite lawyers in the South still think that they are members of Nigerian Bar Association. It's an illegal name now, if they don't know. It is the fact. And that time I wrote a little piece that said, since the Northern Bar Association had broken up, then the Southern Bar Association should now start to call themselves Southern Nigerian Bar Association, because we are still part of Nigeria. They should now add the S to it, Southern Nigerian Bar Association. And which is what is
I wouldn't even say let's go with Southern. I would say let's go with Yoruba Bar.
No, because you still have the other people in the Southern Belt which are white people. And then when we get to the level of Yoruba Bar Association, it is the time that the finality of the dissolution of that country. I was even suggesting that all other institutions that have a sort of national nomenclature or national name, should now start to break up. That the Nigerian Institute of Architecture should now break up into the southern part should go, because even the legal binding for the existence of Nigeria has broken up. That level, when that bar system broke up, it's ringing the bell that Nigeria is breaking up
gradually. For me, I think I don't know of anybody, but I believe Nigeria as a country does not exist, because even the CBN governor came and said, see, we don't have money anymore. The money is dried up. We're just redesigning the money to make you feel like there is something, but there's nothing. Buhari is, whether he likes it or not, in less than 8 months, he's no longer president of Nigeria. But one thing we cannot take away is that Yoruba will continue to exist. So we can start now, or we can wait till another 10 years. But I believe the time for us to do whatever we want to do is now. I'm just going to take final thought from Dr. Adesanya to our millions of Yorubas watching us. What's your message for them? Brand Yoruba.
Yes, thank you. As we round up, I just want to drop this for our Yoruba people, that we have been fooled for too long. We have been deceived for too long. We have been cheated for too long. And as a people who claim to be of high intellect, well exposed, well-traveled, I think the time for us to say yes, it is time for us to take our destiny in our hands. And by that, I mean that the time for our self-determination is overripe. I will just leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Let's just welcome Baba Ajala and have his final thoughts and say goodbye to our viewers. Baba Ajala, what's your final thoughts to our viewers?
My final thought and a quick take is that we really did not touch on one item that was on this rule of law and the legal composition of Nigeria. Nigeria has broken up since year 2000 when the Sharia law was established in the 12 northern states. It was established in sort of rapid succession. And internationally, Nigeria was seen as Nigeria a divided nation from that year. But us in the South refused to accept that fact, which was glaringly showing in our faces. We made jokes of it, and it is sad. And that is why I've always, in unbending terms, unshakable belief in what is right, is for the dissolution of the amalgam that we allowed to continue in 1953. It should have been broken up. It is not supposed to be a 100-year thing. It was a temporary measure in part and in place, according to Lugard himself in 1913, around September 1913, he said it. So,
and the documents are there. It's facts.
The documents are there. Yeah, we can publish. I have put them on some YouTube programs. And if you like, go to Baba Ajala's programs on YouTube. You see most of this, starting from the September 26, 2020. That was the first broadcast. And I want all of us to realize that we have a future to take care of. If you want to have a brand Yoruba nation, brand everything, brand the engineering, brand cars, we have to be out of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Baba Ajala. Thank you. And that's what we could take today, our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Mr. Benga. We don't want any English name in Yoruba government. We are Orile de Yoruba. Well done, everyone. Thank you very much. We are Orile de Yoruba, and that is what our name would be. Until we come your way again next week, continue to enjoy your time. See you. God bless.
Bye.
lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́ làbẹ̀wò kúkú dùkú lóko Podium International wọ́n ti wà tipẹ́tipẹ́ látìgbà tí wọ́n ti ń bàbọ̀ wọn ò fìgbà kan tẹ́rì o wọ́n ti wá ṣe bẹ̀bẹ̀ wọ́n ti gbé bẹ̀bẹ̀ dé Podium Cinema ni wọ́n tún gbé dé Podium Cinema lórí YouTube ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn kẹ́ ẹ subscribe ibẹ̀ lẹ́tì mọ̀ wọ àwọn àjá àbálẹ̀ fíìmù ẹ̀dọ̀kí fíìmù tó léfo gan tààrà Podium Cinema mo bẹ́rí fún yín fíìmù mẹ́sàn-án ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni wọ́n kó jáde o àwọn gbàǹkọ́gbé fíìmù èkíní májẹ̀mú ẹ̀gbọ́n èkejì my wet ẹ̀kẹta ọmọ ẹni ẹ̀kẹrin àlàmú èkó ẹ̀karùn-ún àìmọ̀ ṣe wá rí pé nǹkan kì í ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ràgbó ó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀ eléyìí lẹ́ti kẹjù èdè Yorùbá ni wọ́n fi ṣe àwọn fíìmù yìí ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹfà sẹ́ẹ̀kẹsàn-án èdè òyìnbó ni wọ́n kọ́ ẹ̀kẹfà tẹ́mà èkeje the casting ẹ̀kẹjọ M1 the detective ẹ̀kẹsàn-án 100 M1 the detective at 100 orí síríìsì lẹ́fì máa wò ó ìyẹn dàgbéléwò nìyẹn Podium International Podium Cinema ẹ fọ́lọ̀ wọn kẹ́ ẹ láìkì wọn lórí YouTube wọ́n wà lórí Facebook wọ́n wà lórí Instagram Podium Cinema ó ti dọbẹ̀